Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Game of Two Halves podcast. It is episode 20 of our fifth season, which makes it episode 120. My name's Tonchi Prusak, and I'm your host for tonight's show, jam-packed show. And let me just say, the NPL and the state leagues the season might be over for those respective leagues, but there is still a lot of football left in 2023. And all attention turns to the local competition, the Geelong region semi-finals coming up this weekend, and we'll take a look at all of the final round action and how the top four have ended up in all of the men's and women's divisions this year. We'll be looking at that a little bit later on, but folks, we've got a jam-packed show for you tonight, lined up for you tonight. We'll be looking at the extended highlights, and there'll be a report from the Surf Coast Brunswick Zebras State 4 promotion game. I went to this game. I had the privilege of attending this game, and let me just say, I've watched a lot of football this year, from local grassroots football, junior football, all the way up to internationals and what you're not. Very few games could beat this game for action, adrenaline pumping, tense, whatever you want to call it. It was incredible. It had goals. It had penalty shootouts. It had send-offs. It had everything that our wonderful game of football could possibly contain, and a lot more. We'll be looking at a school in Geelong that has, for the second year running, become the state champion in its category. We'll also be looking at the tale of two Emilys. One Emily who it's a heart-wrenching story of a young girl who has fought bravely against cancer and has come back to her club on the final day of the season. And another one whose goal could well be a contender for the goal of the year. We'll also be speaking to our very, very special guest, Lara United senior women's coach, or should I say now, the ex-Lara United senior women's coach, RYAN HORROCKS, who is officially unemployed as of today. He handed in his resignation before yesterday's final round of the season. We'll find out exactly why that's the case. After 3 years, he's hanging up the whistle, or so to speak, the clipboard. And we'll be speaking to Ryan a little bit later on. As well, before we get into the news and the weekend roundup, folks, we've got some breaking news, some major breaking news, and it does involve two local footballing identities. And the first one, North Geelong Warriors. They announced earlier, just hours earlier, the appointment, the signing of Joey Didalitsa, the former junior at North Geelong Warriors who played senior football there, went on to play for Ajax Amsterdam amongst other teams in Europe and represented Croatia internationally. He's come back to Geelong. He's been involved with the Warriors junior footballing program for the better part of the last 10 years. He's also the head of football, or head of soccer, at Western Heights Secondary College there in Hamlin Heights. And as of next year, he's also going to be the senior coach of the North Geelong Warriors. According to a statement released by the Warriors earlier today, securing the signatures of our senior men's coaching staff has been a high priority for the club as we look to continue building on our foundations and taking our football development program to the next level. We are thrilled to confirm this appointment. Former North Geelong Warriors player himself, Joey, returned home and now dedicates his time to continuing his passion and love for the game through coaching. The A-licensed qualified coach has spent the last 10 years working through our junior programs continuously. Now he turns his hand to our senior men's team. Fantastic appointment there by the Warriors, and someone who is has had proven success with juniors at the club. Well, he will be no doubt rebuilding an entirely new youthful squad at the North Geelong Warriors next year in NPL 2 competition. And earlier today, in fact, moments earlier, big announcement, a young Geelong footballer who we've actually had on this show before has just signed her first professional contract. Natalie Pitchuk, former North Geelong Warriors junior, and who also played her football at the Geelong Galaxy United. Earlier today, she signed a professional contract, a scholarship deal, but it is a professional contract with Western United. And the former North Geelong Warriors and Geelong Galaxy girl who grew up in Lara, well, she moved to the Football Victoria NTC program and then had a breakout year this year with Calder United in the NPLW competition. So that is fantastic news. Western United head coach Mark Takaso said Pitchuk's development at Calder United had uncovered her significant potential going forward. And I quote, "Nat has come a long way with Calder over these past 12 months. We've been really impressed with her development and made it an easy decision to bring her into the A-League environment." So two fantastic appointments there involving local Geelong football identities. That is absolutely great to see. And, we've started the program, tonight's program, in the best possible way with some really positive news, and that is great to see. Folks, we're going to take a very, very short break. When we return, we will be, when we do return from this very short break, we will be looking at what was arguably one of the most amazing, best way to describe it was just an incredible game of football. Surf Coast versus Brunswick Zebras when we return.
Your future is in your hands. There is a whole world waiting for you, and your choices determine how you will impact it. At the Gordon, we recognise this. That's why we champion hands-on learning. Get your hands dirty. Grab what's in front of you. Learn by doing. Turn your passion, your ideas, and mould them into your creations. You'll be supported the entire way. You'll grow your skills in small classes, guided by teachers who are industry experts. You'll learn in state-of-the-art facilities or out in a real-world workplace setting. Your hands-on experience will increase your understanding and put you ahead of your university peers. You'll graduate work ready, and you'll graduate sooner, with a huge range of qualifications to choose from and support services to enable your success. Now is the time to continue your learning journey. At the Gordon, your future is in your hands.
Surf Coast's hopes of promotion came to an abrupt halt in the cruelest manner possible following a 4-5 penalty shootout heartbreak upon the conclusion of a 5 drill against Brunswick Zebras at Ep20 Stadium on Saturday. Christian Mann started the goalfest in the 6th minute, poking the ball home in a mad goalmouth scramble, although the opener was credited as an own goal. The Zebras equalised in the 13th minute before taking the lead a minute later after the Coasters' defence failed to clear a loose ball at the back post. The unbelievable drama was just unfolding when Yashko Ivanovic converted a penalty in the 17th minute to restore parity. Martin Rains scored his second for the Zebras in the 21st minute with a looping header before Christian Ritzer made it 4-2 after just 25 minutes of play. Real Mayurm pulled one back for Surf Coast in the 43rd minute before Christian Mann made it 4-4 in injury time from a spectacular set piece just outside the box to draw the curtains on a miraculous half of attacking football. As could be expected, both teams took the foot off the pedal in the second stanza, and it wasn't until the 59th minute that the ball finally hit the back of the net. League top goal scorer John Pikett's rasping low pile driver, giving his side a 5-4 lead. With the Torquay side seemingly headed towards the shot at State 3 promotion against the 10th place Westside Strikers, in the playoff final next week, tragedy struck in the 84th minute. The Zebras equalised and sent the game into extra time. In what can only be described as one of the most amazing matches of football ever seen at this level, the game went to penalties after scores were locked at 5-5. Following a series of spectacular saves from both Coasters keeper Harry Dunn and his Zebras counterpart Lachlan Stavrevsky in a tense drama-filled penalty shootout which saw no less than 19 spot kicks taken, unfortunately the Zebras prevailed 5-4, dashing the Coasters' dreams of promotion to next year's State League 3 competition.
All right, straight after the match, what a devastating result, but a game of absolute character. The players did incredible.
Get ready for pre-season next year.
All right, straight after the match, what a devastating result, but a game of absolute character. The players did incredibly well. We're here with the Surf Coast coach, ASH DAFTER. Ash, first of all, commiserations on today, but how'd you see the game?
Thanks, Tachi. Look, it was a super competitive game. Obviously, the score ending 5-5. You know, it was we were 4-2 down after 20 minutes, and then, you know, we were able to fight back, and then we were able to get to a 5-4 situation. The boys, look, they gave it their all. They gave everything. We went obviously to penalties, and just unfortunately today we just weren't able to get the result done. But look, it's been a fantastic year from the lads. You know, we've done something that no other Surf Coast team has done before, where we've been able to get to a promotion playoff and be there all the way to the end. 20 penalties were taken today, and you know, both goalkeepers were fantastic. And look, we let it be. We get ready for pre-season next year.
Now, mate, you had an amazing support. You had some of the supporters there that turned up. We had quite a fair few that made the trek all the way from Geelong, from Torquay. With that sort of support, you must have been buoyed going into the game. The boys must have been so pumped.
Look, we were confident. We came out early. We obviously got the early goal and stuff. And look, the boys played fantastic day. I can't really, it hurts. And, we're going to try and use that to go into pre-season. But look, we've done a lot of positive things as a team and as a club this year. And again, it was about building that strong foundation. We've done that, and we just need to now improve and add to what we've already done, and hopefully we get that chance to go around again next year.
You personally, first year as senior coach, the highs and lows were absolutely incredible. But yeah, how did you see the year that was?
The year was fantastic. I couldn't have asked anything more from the boys. 94 goals for the year, and we played a good attacking brand of football. We had our low moments in the first half of the season, but to go 15 games unbeaten up until this moment, I couldn't ask any more of them. It's been a fantastic year, and especially my first year as a senior head coach, and I look forward to next year.
Are you too busy running your own business to worry about your financials? Allow J Hill Books to focus on your books so you can focus on your core business. Based in Lara, Geelong, J Hill Books owner, operator and senior bookkeeper Judy Hill has always worked in finance administration. The world of cloud accounting, however, means that clients can be based anywhere within Australia. Currently, J Hill Books services clients from Lara, Geelong, the Bellarine Peninsula and Melbourne. You won't need to come home from working all day and start on paperwork. You can spend your time in other productive areas such as marketing or quoting, or even better, come home and switch off. You will know how your business is tracking as often as you need, whether that is on a weekly, monthly or quarterly basis. You can be satisfied that you are meeting your legal requirements to your staff and to the ATO. And deadlines will no longer be stressful for you. Let J Hill Books take the stress out of running a small business and allow you to enjoy watching your business go to the next level. For more information, visit our website at www.jhillbooks.com.au, or better yet, call us on 0402 469 243 or email us at info@jhillbooks.com.au. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast. And yes, J Hill Books for all your bookkeeping needs. Do contact Judy Hill from J Hill Books. And big proud sponsors of Lara United Football Club, J Hill Books are. And we've got a very strong Lara United flavour tonight. But before we talk about what happened over the weekend, what happened last week? One of the schools here in Geelong did something that often is very hard to do, and they went back-to-back state champions. And well done to St. Patrick's Catholic Primary School in Geelong West. They became the state champions of the 2023 School Sport Victoria Tournament. And remarkably, this is the second year in a row the girls have won this tournament. Well done. Geelong Galaxy United junior Violet Smith marshalled the defence, which only conceded a single goal in the finals matches. She also supported in attack, scoring on 5 occasions, including a penalty kick and a direct header from a corner. Serafina Fiola was among the leading goal assist providers, playing in attacking wide spaces. She also banged in a goal of her own. And the team was coached once again by the dynamic duo Ante Stosic and Serafina's dad, Joe Fiala, who were the 2 title-winning coaches from last year's team. And there's Joe with Serafina and Violet Smith, the taller one of the 2 there as well. Well done to everyone involved with the very successful soccer program at St. Pat's Catholic Primary School there in Geelong West. So well done to them. We're going to move along now to the VPLW competition. Speaking of Galaxy United, and on the weekend, it was the final game of the season. Geelong Galaxy United travelled to Eltham North Reserve, where they took on Eltham Redbacks, and Ayasano scored 2 goals, both goals for the Galaxy. She took her final season's tally to 29 goals. Incredible achievement, that. 29 goals. Geelong Galaxy have concluded the season in 5th position, and well done to Geelong Galaxy. And if we move now to, obviously Essendon Royals and Brunswick Juventus, they will be moving to next year's NPLW competition. And if we then move to State League One, which is one of those leagues that's very, very interesting for the Geelong, obviously the Geelong factor, because we've got 3 Geelong clubs involved in this competition. We'll be speaking a little bit later on to now former Lara United coach RYAN HORROCKS. He'll be joining us very shortly. His team ended up winning, defeating Clifton Hill 4-1. North Geelong in 3rd position. They travelled to Keilor. They hosted Keilor Park at Alco Park, and they went down 5-0 to finish their season in a very respectable 3rd position behind the runaway leaders Bundoora United and Keilor Park. And unfortunately, what a final day, a drama, high plenty on the final day. Geelong Rangers hosted the leaders Bundoora United. Unfortunately, Rangers lost 4-0. But even more unfortunately for Geelong Rangers was the fact that Brunswick Zebras, the bottom side, actually defeated 7th placed Mill Park 3-1. What that meant is that Brunswick Zebras had the same amount of points as Geelong Rangers, but a 1 goal better goal difference than the Rangers. So unfortunately, that should actually say 10th, Geelong Rangers on the bottom. So they finished as wooden spooners. And, technically they would be relegated, but with the various movements, I guess, in the women's competition, there's every likelihood that Geelong Rangers could end up staying in State 1. Now, there are rumours swirling around that North Geelong could well be invited to be in next year's VPLW competition. That's right, folks. You heard it right here. The rumours are, suggested, because if we go back to the VPLW competition, we'll notice it's an 11-team competition at the moment. Monbulk Rangers would likely be the team relegated, but Glen Waverley also have not had a very good season. If you look at that, 2 wins, 18 losses, 19 goals for, 121 against. There's every likelihood that a team like Glen Waverley might also be seeking to drop down a division, hence creating a space up there for North Geelong. So North Geelong and Geelong Galaxy may possibly be playing in the same division next year. We don't know. Nothing confirmed, and I'm sure we'll find out from Football Victoria about 2 days before the season commences in 2024. Now, turning our attention to the local league, if we have a first of all look now at the men's competition, the local men's Division 1 competition, the final standings after the 18th round, and we see the table topping position. Well, on the weekend, we had Geelong Rangers drew with Barwon Blue 2-2. Surf Coast defeated FC Leopold 5-0. Barwon White defeated Bell Park in a huge upset, 1-0. And Armstrong United defeated Breakwater Eagles 2-1. So the final standing sees Bell Park on top, minor premiers on goal difference from Surf Coast. 2 points behind them, Armstrong United and Barwon Blue making up the top 4. At the foot of the competition standings, we find Barwon Heads. Turning our attention to Division 2. Top 4 final standings, Corio on 42 points, Drysdale in second spot on 35, Geelong in third spot with 32, and then Lara United finishing with 29 points. Now, that's incomplete. We've still got games that haven't been reported, but in effect, the ladder positions cannot change. So our semi-final fixtures for this week include Corio taking on Lara United, Drysdale taking on Geelong. If we do return back to Division 1, Bell Park will host Barwon Blue and Surf Coast will host Armstrong United. So the format is first versus fourth, second versus third. Turning our attention to men's Division 3, Lara United on top with 46 points, Corio on 42 points, Armstrong United with 32, Deakin Ducks with 32. So Lara United will host Deakin Ducks, Corio Bay will take on Armstrong United. And if we then turn our attention to the women's competition, and the final round saw Surf Coast defeat Armstrong United. I think it was 3-0, 5-0. It hasn't been reported on the actual website itself. I believe it may have been a 5-0 win to Surf Coast. If we just check the website again, yes, it was confirmed 5-0 win for Surf Coast over Armstrong United. Drysdale defeated Lara United 5-1 in the Battle of the Cellar Dwellers. Barwon defeated Bell Park 2-1, and Deakin Ducks took out the minor premiership, defeating Surfside Waves 2-1. So Deakin Ducks Black on top, followed by Surf Coast, Barwon, and Bell Park. So Deakin Ducks Black will host Bell Park in semi-final 1, and Surf Coast will host Barwon in semi-final 2. On to the second division, the women's second division, and the top 4 standings. Top 4 place getters were Corio Bay with 19 points, Golden Plains from Bannockburn on 16 points in second spot, Geelong in third spot with 15 points, and FC Leopold in making up the top 4 with 10 points. They did have a game in hand, and that game was played, but I think against bottom side Barwon Heads, but that has not been reported, unfortunately. Can't understand that. Anyway, this weekend's semi-final fixtures will see Corio Bay host FC Leopold and Golden Plains taking on Geelong Soccer Club. Now, next week we'll have the semi-finals, and then thereafter it's the finals. Now, we do believe that the grand finals for the women's competition will be held up at Geelong Rangers, Myers Reserve, on the Saturday. But I tried from a few different sources to find out where the men's competition is being held, and we could not find out. So if anyone on the chat knows where it is going to be held this year, there were rumours circulating it could be Surfside Waves. Not sure if that is confirmed or not, but if it is, folks, let us know, and we'll keep you posted about that. Next week, we will have a special grand final edition of the Game of Two Halves podcast. We will be previewing all of the men's and all of the women's grand finals, and we'll also be looking at the junior grand finals as well. So a huge show coming up next week on the Game of Two Halves podcast. When we return, we've got a really interesting tale of two Emilys, and stay tuned for that. Some more news on the way before we finally do get to our very first guest. Don't go away, folks.
Hi, I'm Joe Gergich,
And I'm Helena Fantella.
and welcome to our family here at Harcourts.
Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast. And before we continue with our news, there's a lot of news happening today. Just a couple of bulletins as well, a couple of announcements. The Geelong Weekly Football News, it comes out every Friday and has all the latest news and stories and views about the local scene. Originally produced articles exclusively for our subscribers, exclusively for our members. And it costs only $5 per month. $5 per month. You heard that. The price of what a regular sized cappuccino in most cafes around town. To become a member of the Geelong Region Soccer Show, and receive the Geelong Weekly Football News Bulletin direct to your inbox every Friday, go to www.patreon.com/Geelong Region Soccer Show. There it is on your screen, folks. www.patreon.com/Geelong Region Soccer Show. Leave that up for a little bit longer. And also, Futsal Geelong, or Geelong Futsal, I should say, is calling all females who would like to lace up the boots and join the summer futsal season, playing in a female futsal competition. After many requests, we are hoping to put together a female competition across all ages. If you want to join, please register your interest now. For more details, go to www.geelongfutsal.com.au, and let's hope that we can get enough interest from females, both seniors and juniors, to warrant a girls-only or a women's-only competition in the futsal. So it's time to get that excitement from the Matildas, from the Women's World Cup, and translate that into a real tangible benefit for the sport locally. On the weekend, we had a tale of two Emilys. It was quite well, let's go with the first one. And we had Saturday was the last game for the Lara United under-11 girls. And, unfortunately, the score was 0-3 for them at full time. But what a great day to welcome back young Emily Cook to the sidelines. Emily loves her soccer and unfortunately had to miss some games this year because she had some surgery due to her brain cancer. Coach Brendan Hollier and team manager Chris Hollier ensured Emily was welcomed back by the girls wearing the T-shirt designed by Emily with the Peace of Mind Foundation. And Peace of Mind Foundation, we can see Emily there surrounded by her teammates and the coach there, Brendan, also dressed in pink, addressing his team just before the game, and Emily looking on. It was a fantastic day, and what a beautiful, beautiful spring day it was on Saturday, and the weather really, really played its part. And there's Emily surrounded by her teammates and the parents and some friends there as well. So wasn't that just absolutely incredible? Lara released a statement earlier today, Lara United, and said, "We are very proud of the whole team and look forward to welcoming Emily back to the team for next season. Thanks to Emily and her family for allowing us to share her story. And thanks, Chris and Brendan, for organising everything." Well done. That really, really is a heartfelt story. And look at that. At the end of the game, the traditional 3 cheers for the other team and greeting the other team. And Emily's there leading her team as the captains do. So that is a great story. That was out at Lara United last week. Now, in the NPLW competition, South Melbourne defeated Boroondara Carey Eagles, the newly promoted Boroondara Carey Eagles, in NPLW Victoria semi-final, 2-1 on Saturday night at the Veneto Club. Now, former Galaxy United captain and star midfielder Emily Sutcliffe, who also is very, very well known around the football community here in Geelong through her work with the Football Stars Academy. Well, she scored an absolute perler, a bomb, in the 38th minute. It was an incredible goal from about 30 metres out, and it is definitely one of the goals of the year. Here's that footage of our former Galaxy United captain, Emily Sutcliffe, scoring what possibly could well be the goal of the season.
Cleanly intercept the ball, and once more, Sutcliffe. Now from distance, will she try another strike? And Sutcliffe! Oh my goodness, Emily Sutcliffe!
Third time lucky. She's tried it once, she's tried it twice, and on the third occasion, Templeman.
Oh, how good was that? Absolutely fantastic. And from a good 30 metres out, that was quite an incredible goal. Well done to Emily Sutcliffe. Unfortunately, the Boroondara Carey Eagles, who've also got another Geelong girl in the midst, Christy Merry, formerly of Lara United, and also Geelong Galaxy United, was also part of Boroondara Carey Eagles. But in their first season in the top flight, they did exceptionally well, and well done to them. That was an incredible result indeed. In their first year to get to the semi-finals, and although they didn't quite make it, nonetheless, it was a rather incredible result to get to where they did. We're going to take a very short break. When we return, it's time for tonight's very, very special guest. He's now the former senior women's coach of the Lara United Football Club, and he'll be joining us straight after this break, RYAN HORROCKS. Don't go away, folks.
There is a whole world waiting for you, and your choices determine how you will impact it. At the Gordon, we recognise this. That's why we champion hands-on learning. Get your hands dirty and learn by doing in state-of-the-art facilities, guided by teachers who are industry experts. You'll graduate work-ready, and you'll graduate sooner. Now is the time to continue your learning journey. At the Gordon, your future is in your hands.
Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast, and it's an absolute pleasure to introduce to you our next guest. And, he was at the helm of Lara United for the last 3 years as senior coach or coach of the senior women's team. And it is our absolute pleasure to welcome RYAN HORROCKS to the Game of Two Halves podcast. RYAN, good evening, and thank you for joining us. You've been a regular guest on the show this year, and we certainly couldn't think of a better way to finish off the season than to get you back on the show.
Hey, Tonch. No, it's very nice. Congratulations on another season for you, mate. I know there were some moments in there where you thought it might not get off the ground, so
yeah,
well done on making it through to the end for you as well.
Yeah, and a big shout out to Euro Football Star as well, who sponsored us in the earlier part of the year, and indeed to the Gordon, who are sponsoring us now till the end of the season. So and to all of our sponsors this year, a massive thank you very, very much. If it wasn't for them, we certainly would not have got through with the show. But RYAN, as we saw, a lot of good things happening in the space, in the women's football space, both juniors and seniors. A lot of good announcements, a lot of achievements in tonight's show. But you've been heavily involved in that space over the last, not just the last 3 years, but you've been heavily involved for the better part of the last 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, nearly a decade.
Nearly a decade. Firstly, and you're stepping away. Firstly, kind of, was it a hard decision to make, or was it a relatively easy decision? Because you've got some exciting things happening for you next year, haven't you?
Yeah, look, obviously we've got the wedding coming up next year, which played in as a massive factor. But I suppose the only thing that made it easy was preparing myself to have to make a decision at all earlier in the season, or midway through the season sort of thing. I don't think I could have come to any sort of conclusion on a week's notice. So I had to prepare this just as well as I had to prepare this time last year for already knowing we were headed into State 1, kind of mid-season. So just to take that mental pressure off a little bit, I had to put myself in a bit of a mindset to potentially be ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, tell us a little bit about the last, as you said, you've been involved with the last 10 years. And women's football has just grown dramatically. What have been some of the highs? What have been some of the lows over the last, let's call it 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, we're still fresh. Yesterday was still really fresh. So I know I'm going to reflect plenty in this off season in particular, and then as time kind of passes around what the highs and lows have been. I think there's definitely been some struggles. I remember when I was coaching the junior girls in the Geelong region, and that was the only age group, and there was 4 teams, and at one point 3 of the teams were so good that the fourth team dropped out. We had 3 junior teams in Geelong in all of our lifetimes, not all of our football lifetimes in this region, which is astonishing and mind-boggling when you think about it now, like what we're looking at. We're talking about, 6, 7 maybe years ago. So to have that and then to turn around and look at what it is now. Yes, we may not have an exceptional number of competitions, but the amount of talent that's coming through and the teams going through to different levels. We've got an NPL club out here now, and we've got the various clubs going to Metro as well. So the depth is there, just because it's not there on paper in the Geelong region competitions. That's definitely a low to a high. And yeah, I just think the success now, seeing all of these teams come back into the state leagues, the whispers around what they might be doing out at Torquay as well next season. I think they confirmed that, which is back to where we should be aiming to, if we create enough depth. I think the rule's in there for a reason, to have that team that must be in local as well. We don't want to see the local comp die off. But there's a balance in that, for some clubs that have got the players and everything to push that bit further. I think that's where Geelong needs to be, and the Geelong teams are excelling in those competitions. Last year we won 2 of them to Geelong clubs. So, and now you're talking about North potentially being a spot to go into VPL as well. So we're putting our stamp on it out in the wider community. So it would be foolish to just stay in Geelong. So that's my highs and lows, I reckon.
Yeah, well, if I'm just having a look at the competitions at the moment for girls, and mind you, there are some clubs that are fielding girls in the Metro competitions, but in the under 14, under 15, so if we call that the under 15 league, there are 12 teams now this year. In the under 13 league, which is the 12s and 13s combined, there are 13 teams. So just in that, there are 25 teams, and that's not including MiniRoos. That's not including, as we said, the NPL girls that play with Galaxy, or the Metro girls. I know Geelong. I know North Geelong. I'm not too sure is there anyone else that fields teams in the Metro competition.
Rangers have got one in the 12 girls. Yes.
And that is incredible. And look, now we've got that opportunity with the Women's World Cup and the success that we had there, and the amount of interest that there's from girls to play. I mean, obviously the interest is there. There's no doubt about that. We just now need more fields. We now need more coaches. We now need more of those resources. But in your mind, mate, and it's not, and obviously you don't just deal with Lara United. Your dad's coach at Rangers, and you've dealt with a lot of people from other clubs. You know a lot of other clubs. Are we, as a sport, and we're just looking at women's football, female football at the moment, are we headed in the right direction at the moment in Geelong, or are we still kind of having to jump over certain obstacles?
It's a big question. I don't think it's really even Geelong centric, like we just mentioned, around how much presence we have in the Metro comps as well. I think we've spread our wings well enough now. Geelong definitely needs some more resources and more support. But in general, I don't feel that Football Australia has provided an opportunity for the grassroots clubs to capitalise on what the Matildas have just done, and they didn't. It won't matter what they do into the future. They've already missed some level of opportunity because they've known for a period of time that not just we're going to host a World Cup, but this team had the ability and has the players to be successful. Even if that World Cup had been in Morocco this year, we would have still had a reasonable run potentially. And I feel that the barriers you mentioned before around coaching, why do coaching courses still cost so much money? Are we serious about trying to get these players developed properly or not? And then how many can we run in Geelong? None. It's just none. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Not past one skill acquisition session and a game training one at the start of the season. And through the season, nothing. There's no support for coaches. There's no way for coaches to know how they're supposed to develop players properly. So short answer, no. No, definitely not, because way more can be done. Way more should be done. And I have no doubt it will be. I think the unfortunate part is we may have missed the boat a little bit in terms of the World Cup now being over and things still haven't been actioned.
Now, if we look at the top four women's teams here in Geelong, so Galaxy, Lara United, North Geelong, and Geelong Rangers, all four are coached by males, which is interesting. So John Diaz does a great job out of Galaxy, yourself at Lara, your dad at Geelong Rangers, and then we also had Michael Anderson, former long-time North Geelong Warriors senior captain, and Ahmed Sulaimi, who's I think B license, A license at the moment, doing a great job at North Geelong. But why do we not have more females involved in the coaching side of things? Is it a paternal thing? Is it something that the girls like to take instructions from a male? It's a dad, fatherly type figure, and when it's another female, it's a lot of bitchiness and all that. Seriously, what's your opinion? Why do we not have enough females?
I don't know.
Coaching?
I mean, if I can take inside the change rooms, the one as we kind of talk about it, the one that's kind of coming to my head now, I'll take inside the change rooms from 2 weeks ago at our last home game, and I just, in my attempts to motivate the girls, spoke to them a bit about the shirt and the team that they're playing with at the moment, and the amount of women in that room and that have played football now, and reminded them to cast their eye back to when they were young, and they didn't have a girls team and they were playing with the boys, and that's even if they were allowed to play with the boys. Some of them were just told, no, you can't play, we don't have a group for you. So I feel that not enough females have been presented an opportunity for long enough, even in their playing days, to produce someone at the end of that then wants to coach. That's my first and foremost thought around it, is that we haven't even got anyone retired yet who has played 10, 15 years of female-only football, who's ready to stick their hand up. We haven't had that in Geelong. We just said before, 6-7 years ago, we had 3 teams in the junior comp in Geelong. Yep. So who's going to come out of that now who would be 20 years old and coach? That's a limited pool. It's a small pool. Maybe one of them will, but now that we've got a group of 25 teams that are coming through, like you've said, just in that little tiny junior section between 12s and 16s, already that's a lot bigger to try and grab 1 or 2 coaches out of. So more opportunities and give them a bit of time to finish their playing careers, and I have no doubt they'll all be in those roles at some point.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's a fantastic thing that males are wanting to get involved. And in many cases, we find a lot of dads wanting to get involved because of their daughters. But we had Vlado Jakic on recently, coach of the North Geelong Reserves. He's a former president. And you've also had one of your assistants this year, Aaron Petman, a former president of Lara United, as well, getting involved. So it's so great to see ex-presidents now getting involved in coaching, but they're not coaching the boys, they're not coaching the blokes, they're actually coaching the women. And that probably illustrates the enthusiasm that a lot of people here locally have for the women's game.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's great to have... like you said, it doesn't matter who at the end of the day, male or female. It's not really relevant. Someone that has a genuine passion and interest for that team's success, if that's what we're working with at the moment is only men, then so be it. But I'm sure if any female out there put their hand up and showed that level of passion and interest, that they would also be afforded that opportunity for sure.
Would absolutely love to see that happen in
years
100%. To come. Yeah, absolutely. Now let's return back to, the present day. And it was a beautiful kind of a little message or statement that Lara United put earlier towards the end of last week, just before the ahead of yesterday's game. and you've stated there it's been an unbelievable journey with Aaron Petman over the last 3 seasons, watching new players start and existing players thrive for our club, add to the honour board and get us back to State League One. I'm grateful for the club backing a young coach with very little experience to take control of a very important aspect of our community, and I'm pleased to have given a positive return on that. It's been a tough decision for you, but as you said, you sort of certainly very grateful of the opportunities afforded to you. Has the club, or have you looked at a succession plan? Is maybe Aaron, maybe is he the one that's going to take over? We're going to put him on the spot here, but have you looked at succession plans and possible replacements, or is that something that the club's going to look at?
No, I've told the club, look, because of my long-standing relationship with the club. I started playing with the club when I was 5 years old in 2002. I'm not just going to cut ties with the club altogether. If they want me to be part of that, then I'm more than happy to, put my thinking cap on and help them make some educated decisions around the succession. Let them advertise, let them reach out to people, whatever it is they want to do, whatever angle. If they want me to be 110% hands off, then I'm happy to do that. And whatever percentage they want me to potentially buy into, I'm not going to go cut and run. They know where I live anyway. So, I want to see that section thrive. I think between us, my old man and myself, we put in too many hours, too much care, too much time. We to just want it to be not looked after or anything like that. So whatever level the club wants us to support in finding that succession, we are fully open to. I've said that to Paul as well. Yeah, but no, not to this point. There's no succession plan at the moment.
Yeah, in yesterday's game against Clifton Hill, the girls certainly gave you the best possible parting gift with a 4-1 win over Clifton Hill. Hannah Gauchi and Samantha King scoring their first senior goals, and Izzy Wilkinson, that's a very, very familiar name in the goal scoring sheets. She scored a brace. That took her season's tally to an astonishing 17 goals from 17 games. Well done to Izzy. She was one of the better performing goal scorers in the league, that's for sure. What was it like having a proven? And that's one of the things you look at the men's game, and a lot of the time, if you don't have a real proven goal scorer, it's very, very difficult. And sometimes in the women's game, if you don't have, it's very hard to get that target player or someone who bangs the goals away. But when you do, they're absolutely gold, as Ayaseno proved for Galaxy United. But Izzy Wilkinson is that player for you. How valuable was she to your team and to the was it just a matter of she got really good service, or was it she was that real target woman that provided the focal point up front?
We played a 2 up top, so look, she's got a massive presence up top, so naturally she'd be the one that the ball's drawn to a bit more, that the players might find a bit easier. So yeah, it's quite impressive from her. It's not her first rodeo playing up top in State League One. So yeah, I'm not really surprised that she found the back of the net, even in what was a really mixed bag of a season. She had a patch where I think it was about a month, maybe more, where she didn't score a goal at all. So to go that long and still manage to score 17 is pretty impressive. I think for the team as a whole, look, we knew how we wanted to play going into the season. We saw that on multiple occasions. We didn't beat, but we got a result from 8 of the 9 opposition in the competition, which only Keilor Park and Bundoora can say as well. So we certainly know what we were potentially capable of. But by saying that we got a result against everyone, including Keilor Park, who we held to 1-1 after losing 10-1 earlier in the season to them. We also dropped points against Craigieburn, Brunswick, Rangers, Mill Park all the way through the season. So, that mixed bag hurt us in the end, I suppose, and especially for the goal difference as well. We'll talk about the 10-1 against Keilor Park and the 8-1 against Bundoora as well. Obviously, goal difference is what stopped us from finishing 5th and top half against Georgies, who, lost both of their games against Rangers. So we definitely feel there's been a missed opportunity in there this season. But, we did what we could in most weeks, and a lot of young players learned some valuable lessons, and some older ones still had plenty of highs and plenty of memorable moments. Fantastic. I know when Mon as captain scored that winning header against North in a 1-0 game, massive derbies like that. I know Liv felt the same way when she scored in the reverse fixture, but I'm glad they get to take that away from this season, if nothing else.
Now let's talk about those derbies. It was let's remember this was Lara United's first year in State 1 or back in State 1, along with Geelong Rangers as well. So for the first time in a long time, we actually had not just one but two derbies. If you look at it that way, your first year in State 1, what was the standard like compared to State 2? You did finish mid-table, but and last year you went through State 2 undefeated, the Invincibles, yeah. So what was the difference between the wrong ladder, it's the BPL.
That's all right.
Ladder. Yeah, we're looking at the we're jumping a year ahead. Maybe next year we'll be looking at BPL. But you finished mid-table in 6th position quite comfortably, by the way. How did you see the difference in standard between Women's State 2 and Women's State 1?
If you have an off day from the start, it's game over. Which is a massive difference. I think we got away with a couple last year where we were not at our best and we didn't travel well. I think the addition of a reserves fixture adds a lot. We didn't have the numbers that all the other clubs had. I don't think there were too many other clubs that really heavily rotated between their reserves and seniors. Yesterday we took 20 players between the two teams up to Clifton Hill. So, that was one of our challenges for the year in terms of the difference for State 1 and State 2. Look, the standard of the top teams, Keilor Park, who have got some great imports this season. So when they're ready to turn it on, they'll find the back of the net without even trying. And Bundoora are a well-oiled machine. They've done 8 or 9 seasons in State 1 now. Ever since the NPL started is when they've been in State 1, and they've been waiting all that time, building their program, trying to win it. That's how hard that competition is. If anyone ever needs to figure that out, then just have a look at how long it took them to actually win the thing and get promoted. It wasn't easy, but look, again, we thought we had enough good chances and we took results 8 against 8 different teams out of the 9. So we felt like we were there, but it was definitely a lot harder.
Yeah, now obviously playing in State 1 meant you had to field a reserves team, and maybe that probably meant that the local league teams suffered a little bit. But look, from all accounts, it was a pretty youthful Lara team there, and in Division 1. Remember, at the halfway mark, the league was split, and the top 8 teams formed Division 1, and the bottom 7 teams then formed Division 2. But how did that all go? Like, there would have been a lot of young girls given an opportunity, maybe even a few older players coming back to the club in a playing capacity. So how did the local how did moving to State 1 affect the local teams and the junior teams as well? Did you have to pull up players from the junior ranks up?
Yeah, it was tough. It was really interesting. I mean, like I've spoken to you about multiple times, we knew early on last season that we would be in State 1, which by the book meant that we had to have 3 teams. So the focus was around how do we get those 3 teams up, get that local team in. Obviously, there were exemptions given, but by that point we had already entered our team, so we weren't in the same boat to kind of put all our eggs in one basket in State 1. So we spread it a little bit thinner, which may have hurt both sides really, probably the reserves depth and the local women. Obviously they were quality enough. I don't disagree with the way that the leagues were structured at all. For the local women's comp, I think there's definite question marks around the practicality around playing 9 games and then 9 games. It doesn't make for a great look in a season, but I do agree that there should be an even split between Div 1 and Div 2. And fortunately or unfortunately, we were the 8th best team, I suppose, in the local comps, and it just means that you're going to have a tough end to the season. The girls had some injuries and they had some players decide that it wasn't for them anymore at the point of the season where everything split. So we had some mums join the group as well who had never kicked a ball before in their life. They had 4 or 5 of the local girls come through from the under 15s group who ended up playing, and the 4 that we took on most occasions, or every week really, for our senior reserve structure as well, a lot of them played solid 2 games a weekend, plus then would sit on the bench as well for the seniors for that development, that opportunity. So,
and were they a lot younger, those girls?
Yeah. So Hannah Bigmore started the season as a 13-year-old, needed a dispensation, which was really incredible, and she played a lot of times 3 games a week. And then we had 14, 15 years old, and even the ones that weren't in the under 14, 15 competition, we had 16-year-olds having a run around, 17, 18-year-olds as well. Which was great, and we always wanted to do that in State 1. I know we needed to protect everything for future seasons. You can't just put all your eggs in this season's basket and hope for the best and, you know, splash the cash as you will on whatever players you might see around the region, try and get them in. There's no point in doing that for us. It was all about, can we get the youth some experience while we're in this competition? And hopefully that makes them a better team in the under-15s. You know, they didn't make finals, but they certainly gave some other teams a good crack. And
But it's a short-term pain for a long-term gain kind of philosophy. And I'm fascinated by this. I think this is, I mean, I listen to this and someone might say, oh, but look at the scores, you know, they got hammered and it doesn't do good for their confidence. But when you've got a 13, 14, 15-year-old being given an opportunity to play 2-3 games over the weekend and, you know, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, geez, I wish I had the powers of recovery like they do, and they could play 10 games in a weekend. But having that opportunity, and this, I guess, this is the forward thinking of Lara, to be able to provide them with opportunities to do so, both locally, both at a reserves level on a Sunday, senior level, sitting on the bench as well, being part of that whole pathway. I mean, that is absolutely incredible. And that and it's up to them if they want to now take it one step further and do what Natalie Pitchuk, who's signed with Western United, has done. That's another great story, isn't it? That earlier today. So the pathway now suddenly becomes not only possible, but very, very realistic for them to get to senior football before they've even hit 15, 16 years of age. That's incredible.
The current crop had done it. You know, last time we were in State 1, the girls, admittedly a little bit older than that at the time. Izzy, Rach, Hannah Gauchi, they were all of that age in that time when we played those first 2 seasons in State 1. And, you know, look where they're at now. They're the senior leaders in the group and leading goal scorers and, you know, best and fairest winners and game changers out there on their own back. So, and the leaders for the next group that come through, those groups shed the same tears that the younger ones did back then as well. And they get disappointed that either they didn't get minutes or that because they skied one over the bar, and that eats them up for a whole week. But, you know, all they can do is just experience it and trust the girls that back them up and go, hey, get over it. It's all good. You know, there's so much football to play. And to hear that from so many other experienced women that they look up to, and not just look up to, but play shoulder to shoulder with, they're on the team, you know, with them, is, I think it's really powerful for them to experience that early.
Turning our attention now maybe to Lara as a whole, Lara United, there was a real renaissance also with the men's teams as well. I mean, locally, there were 3 men's teams. We heard from Coach Eric Lawrence earlier in the year. At one stage in pre-season, there was something like 50 men rocking up to pre-season training and trials, which is quite incredible. But obviously we saw the great story there about young Emily Cook, the 11-year-old cancer survivor who came back on her final day of the season to be part of that Lara United under-11 girls team. So it's such a phenomenal atmosphere at the moment at Lara Recreation Reserve, and obviously with the wonderful club rooms there as well, and a lot of the work done in the off-season, the fencing and everything. It's got a real atmosphere about the club, hasn't it?
Yeah, and if City of Greater Geelong and Barwon Water, if you're listening, just please turn the sprinklers on. That's all we're missing right now. That ground is concrete. It's like a netball court, seriously. We get some of those challenges down in the box and grazed and scraped up. But that is probably the biggest gap right now, is that unbelievable. It's just rock solid out there. But yeah, look, the culture and the environment is growing, and it's really positive to see such an inclusive environment. Obviously, the family of young Emily, who's still fighting and battling her little heart out, they were kept everything quite close to their chest for a long part of the season, and once our girls caught wind of it, decided to go down and make an appearance at one of their training sessions as well late in the season and join in and do what they could. You know, there's only so much you can do. So for anyone that's struggling like that, every little bit you can give is, you know, it never will feel like enough. But I'm sure, you know, it meant a lot to her as well. So we were more than willing to give it. But that's the kind of culture, you know, that they're trying to create out there.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And it was really, there we go. There's that photo again. Like, you know, they had the T-shirts done up. She was there as well on the day, dressed in, kitted out in her Lara United uniform. Just a shame they lost 3-0. But Surfside Waves are a great club. If they're going to lose to anyone, they're a very good
That's
club.
football. It's okay to lose, you know? It's okay to lose. Yeah.
Everyone's a winner at the end of the day. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. What to next? I know you are talking off air earlier today. You said you're going to get itchy feet come March, no doubt. But, no doubt opening yourself and leaving yourself involved in some way or another. But what for you? What would you like to see yourself doing? Maybe returning back to coaching or being involved in administration or player development? What's on the cards for Ryan Horrocks?
I'll have itchy feet this weekend when I'm told to jump in the garden and start getting to work, man. I know Rach is a far superior gardener than I am, but I'm sure she'll still want me to do something out there, and I'll be ready to jump back on the field. But no, I'm going to enjoy a bit of the off season. Obviously, last year didn't really have it. I think we were back in by mid-October, early November, which made for a really long season this season. So really going to soak all of that in the Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. So I'm not sure. I don't need to jump into anything or rush into anything. I'd love to, as much as it's not backed and funded, I'd love to go and get some more licenses and get that sort of thing done. Take the time that I may have to get that and progress myself. That opportunity doesn't come up all the time. And see a bit more football in some different capacities and keep supporting the people who I've coached along the way, who will still be knocking on the door asking for advice and opinions. And, I've got plenty of them, so I won't be shy of sharing them. But yeah, look, that young group that I've just helped go through this season as well, I want to see them continue to succeed. So I'll be keeping a keen, close eye on all of them and on the club as well, and what they do and how they try and continue their progression, whether that's through to VPL or whatever the plan is next for the women's structure. There's always plenty going on. So I'm sure I'll find something at some point, Tonch, but yeah, don't need to rush into that decision today, I don't think.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We've got a lot of activity in the chat section. Another former player who took to coaching women's football, Mark Gestolter out at Bell Park. He says, gents, I love that you were talking women's football. How good is it? All the best, Ryan. And Mum, Rebecca Horrocks also has popped in with a comment when we asked, why is it that not more females are coaching? She says, and she's got a husband that coaches women's football. She's got a son that coaches women's football. So if anyone knows, it's Rebecca. The Matildas and retiring players like Martin Rapinoe all said it last month. You can't beat what you can't see. Perhaps more coaching courses in Geelong and specifically for women and girls might help bring more women and girls forward to take on the coaching roles. And yes, absolutely agree there,
Step them in
Rebecca.
as assistant coaches, let them have an opportunity and junior groups and all that sort of thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to give a shout out to two young ladies who were involved in a C license course that I did earlier this year. Jennifer Smith, who coaches and also helps play at Galaxy as well. She's got a very talented daughter. We mentioned her daughter Violet Smith earlier today. She did the C license course. And the young Bailey Gate, who now plays senior football with North Geelong. At the time, she was with Surf Coast. So, well done to those two. Well done to
those two.
Yeah, anyone else who has undertaken C license courses or even the grassroots or skills training courses as well. But, mate, once again, thank you so much for being a part of this evening's Game of Two Halves podcast and sharing your insights into the women's football side of things here in Geelong. And it's great to see that you won't be totally lost to the game, and especially if Rachel is still playing next year after the wedding. If nothing else, you'll still have to rock up and watch her play. And, maybe not coach.
No, maybe not coach, but I will absolutely have no objections to going down and watching a game every Sunday. No
Good
objections
idea.
Here. Yeah, thanks for having me, Tonch, all the few times you had me. I know I may not be of much interest in moving on next season or anything like that in no capacity, but don't be shy, don't be a stranger, mate. I've got plenty to say. So
you never know, mate. You never know. I'm still looking for a co-host. I might be knocking on your door.
Something to do. Yeah,
absolutely. Cheers, all right, thank you very much, Ryan Horrocks, joining us from Lara United Football Club. Now, the former coach of the Lara United Football Club. Folks, we're almost there. We're almost out of time. We're going to take a very, very quick break, and when we return, we'll wrap things up. But thank you for being a part of this evening's Game of Two Halves podcast. Lots and lots of news and lots of women's football news happening around the region.
Our name is derived from the Greek prefix macro, large. From the day we were born, this has been a promise for the future. We have grown through dedication, sweat, self-denial, faithful to our mission of being on the side of those who put themselves on the line. Through our name, we celebrate the greatness of those who believe there are no obstacles higher than their dreams. The courage to get back up after falling. The obstinacy of believing until the end. These are the values embedded in our logo. The Macron Hero. It's a celebration of sacrifice and tenacity. Up until your personal victory, until your arms are in the sky. Become your own hero.
Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast, and thank you very much to all of our advertiser sponsors tonight, J Hill Books, Harcourts, North Geelong, Macron, and especially the Gordon, our major sponsor. One last word about the Geelong Weekly Football News Bulletin. Do jump on and become a member. It's only $5, and we'll even pop the link there in the chat section. $5 per month, and every Friday you will be receiving your weekly edition, the Geelong Weekly Football News, in electronic format, sent directly to your email inbox. And every dollar that you put in goes towards helping run the Game of Two Halves podcast, and particularly over the summer months as well, when there isn't that much football activity happening. That bulletin will still be coming out, and hopefully we'll be able to ensure that next year we come out for season 6 of the Geelong Region Soccer Show, which now is known as the Game of Two Halves podcast. Folks, thank you very, very much for being a part of tonight's show. We look forward to having your company again next Monday night. Although there may be, at this stage, there may be a change that we may move to Tuesday because of all the grand finals that possibly will be happening later on. So we'll probably may need that extra day just to organise everything, so we know all of our fixtures and everything. Football Victoria's comps department sometimes is a little bit slow on a Monday, but look, do stay tuned for that. But at this stage, we will be coming out next Monday night at 8 p.m. As we usually do. Until then, good night, and may your team, if they're participating in this weekend's semi-finals, do well. Good night.